Hey y'all, it's Anime K-Man. Today I am going to be reviewing Gegege no Kitarou episode 52. Before I talk about this episode, let me just say, it kind of gave me some Peter Pan vibes, honestly. And I mean that in a good way, with the whole, you have someone going into like a world where there's no adults and where you could pretty much have happy times until like there's a conflict introduced near the end. It kind of gave me those kind of vibes, and I think it made this episode much funner in my book. Now, what I like about this episode was its start, because it set up its character Miyabe, which is one of Mana's friends. And speaking of which, my goodness, it feels like almost every friend that Mana's involved with, they get into some deep shit, at times. Like a few episodes ago, you had that man that was going for immortality, and then you have the daughter whose father was pretty much killed not killed, but he's pretty much defeated by Kitarou, and then that girl wanted vengeance against Kitarou, who was formerly one of Mana's friends, this girl. And then in this situation, even though she didn't necessarily get in trouble, she was in like an iffy situation for a bit, so it's like, it feels like being Mana's friend is like an invitation to get involved in some epic shit. Just an observation. No complaints about that, it's just something I find a bit funny. Now, back on topic. I like how this episode sets up Miyabe for a character development arc, because I like how it starts out with her not wanting breakfast because she doesn't want to be late. And then I like how it also sets her up to gain a bit more responsibilities when her mother's like, if you would have cleaned your room, then I wouldn't have found out about your grades. And here's why I found these two moments at the start narratively powerful. Because I like how when you have Miyabe accidentally be transported into the spirit world that opens up every 500 years, which have these Kinoko yokais, and at first she has fun. I like the way this actually makes her develop her character a bit, because during that world, her body temporarily gets older, and then her mind also becomes a bit more mature. And I like how she starts to notice things like, because since her body's aging quicker, she starts to taste food, and then she's like, oh, it tastes like mud, because originally the food in that spirit world tasted good to her. But since she's aging up quicker, the stuff doesn't taste good anymore. And then she's noticing things like the yokai, the Kinoko yokai being dirty that she didn't notice before. And then I like how that right there shows up her character development, because now she starts to notice how tough her mom has it when it comes to cleaning things. And then it hits her immediately, and then she realizes that she can't be doing play all the time. There's responsibilities, and she has to travel home. And that's what I like about this episode, because at that moment, Miyabe becomes much more mature, and she wants to go home. And I love that type of stuff in this episode, because it introduced a character, and it gave us a character arc all in the span of a single episode. And what I also like about this episode was it wasn't just Miyabe. Oh, and then at the end, I also love how when she goes back to the human world and she sees her mom, she actually wants to eat food, which is something she didn't appreciate before at the start of the episode. And that's what I found this episode to be really beautiful. It shows you this character go through immense growth. And not just her. I also got to give props to Toei for making the Kinoko yokais go through a long character development arc. Because at first they were having fun, hanging out with a human, which was Miyabe. And then I like how as the episode progressed, they didn't want to let her go, and they even asked for this help from this Yamatengo yokai so that she won't have to go back home. Because in their eyes, they think that she'll be happy staying in the spirit world. But then I like how as the episode progresses, the Kinoko see the error of the ways, and they want to help out Miyabe. And I like how it shows how they went from selfish to selfless, because there was even a moment where they was falling debris, and they even risked themselves. You're using their bodies to shield Miyabe so that she didn't get hurt, and I like that because it shows these little yokai going from selfish to selfless, and in a good amount of time in the episode. It didn't feel too quick and it didn't feel too long, because you see them hanging out and you see them getting closer eventually, and it will make sense why they would risk their lives for someone that they got to know. And that's what also made this episode really great. It just had great characters all around introduced. And I'd say really, aside from that, I'd say really the only weak point about this episode was the animation. But everything else, though, was pretty good, I've got to say. So that's why I thought from a character standpoint, it was great. Great development for Kinoko, a great development for Miyabe. I'd say really the only running thing is Did the episode really have to make Miyabe friends with Mana? Because considering that you never really see these two hang out before until it was mentioned that she happened to be Mana's friend, I felt that this episode could have just had her... Actually, you know what? Nah, I could see why they made her Mana's friend, because then they'd have an explanation as to like the messages being sent to Mana's phone where she can send it to Cat Chick. So no, scratch it. That's not a complaint. The only complaint is the animation, and that's it. Oh, and Yamatengu, he felt like one of the weaker Gegege no Guitar villains, but you know what? After he wasn't such a big deterrent because he got the job done. You had a little conflict introduced, and then they pretty much defeated him. Although, in my opinion, I think the episode would have been stronger if they didn't have to bring in this evil yokai in this episode. If they would have just had them shown a bit more minutes of the Kinokos hanging out with Miyabe for a few more minutes, and then Miyabe saying she has to go home because her mother needs her, and then they could have had the Kinoko yokai understanding. I think that would have made for much more emotional impact, you know. But aside from that, this episode was pretty darn good, I gotta say. And as for the art, got the job done. Wasn't amazing, wasn't bad. Got the job done. And as for the story part of the episode, I found myself entertained for most of the episode, honestly. The only part that really didn't entertain me so much was pretty much just the guitar, some portions of the Kitarou versus the Yamatengu fight, because it was, in some portions, it was badly choreographed. But aside from that, this episode was pretty darn good, and I'm gonna rate it an 8 out of 10 because honestly, just the character development alone elevated this episode. It's pretty good status. So anyways, guys and gals, these are my thoughts on Gegege no Guitar episode 52. Comment down your thoughts and leave us in the comments section below. Rate the video, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later if you subscribe for more, alright? Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.